welcome back to my channel and welcome to another episode of Red Rider's Garage. Okay, so my shovel head is on the stand again. Actually, it's the first time or second time maybe on the stand this season. And it's getting a new clutch cable because it barely got me home the other day. The last time that I rode it to church, it was not disengaging the clutch, and I thought maybe my clutch just needed to be adjusted because I couldn't actually see that my clutch cable was broken. But then I got it home, I got it up on the lift, I looked at my clutch adjustment, and then when I went to pull the clutch in, I realized that it felt weird, and then I noticed that there was only 2 strands of my clutch cable holding on for dear life, and luckily I made it home that day without a broken clutch cable. So I've got some supplies on the bench and my dad has instructed me on how to make new ends for a clutch cable. So let's go over to the bench and see what we've got going on over there. Okay, so this is my clutch lever right here. And these clutch levers are not from a Harley Davidson. They would actually be from something British, like a Triumph or something like that. But I really liked this blade style lever and I couldn't find any old style Harley ones when my bike was going together. So I ordered these offline years and years ago. And as you can see, the hole here for the cable end to go through is a lot bigger than what would be on a typical clutch lever from a Harley Davidson. So my dad made this end when my bike was going together. So I'm going to be making the new end out of this brass rod instead of steel, just because the brass is softer, so it's not going to wear away on the clutch lever itself as much. I'm going to measure this little piece that came out of my clutch lever, and then I'm going to cut a piece the same length out of the brass here. So first things first, let's just measure this old piece. So it's 0.528 of an inch. I'll probably make it 0.53 or somewhere around there when I cut this piece because I want to have a little bit left that I can just clean the ends up without it being too short. I'm going to mark that on here. Doesn't matter if it's a little tiny bit longer, but you don't want it to be shorter because you want it to actually fit in the lever and that it's not going to fall out. There we go. Okay, I got a sloppy little line there, and I'm gonna go cut this out on my bandsaw, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so this is my new little end, cut and cleaned up, and this is it next to the old end. It's just a little tiny bit longer than the old end, but I'm still gonna need to do a little bit of grinding on this one here once I've done the next step in the process. Alright, so I've got a little center punch mark in the center of my piece here. I made sure to measure that and make sure that it was exactly in the center, or as exact as I can get it. And I also measured my clutch cable that I'm going to be using with a set of calipers, and I've found a drill bit that is the same size as my clutch cable. So I'm going to be drilling a hole in this piece at my center punch mark, and hopefully I don't make it crooked so I don't have to make it again. I'll just show you guys here. So I measured my clutch cable just like that. So this drill bit just fits a little bit tightly. This is a 7/64 drill bit, but that's going to be whatever size you end up working with. I'm going to do a bit of a pilot hole first with a smaller bit, and then I will drill out with my larger bit. Okay, so I've got my piece in the vise here. I made sure to put in a set of soft aluminum jaws so that I can clamp this in here super tight without wrecking the brass. And I've also got a piece of 1/4 inch flat bar sitting underneath of here with another piece of bar just to raise it up a little bit. And the flat bar is just so that I can lay my piece flat on top of it. And that's just gonna help me to get this hole centered and square. All right, wish me luck. We don't want to go too fast with the drilling either. We don't want to put too much pressure downward because we don't want our bit getting sucked into the piece, especially with the second hole, because it'll get sucked in a lot easier with the second hole. Okay, so I've got my piece drilled out here, and I'm just getting ready to do the next step. So my clutch cable fits through there nicely. It's a little bit loose, but that was to be expected because my drill bit wasn't the exact size as my clutch cable, but it's okay, it's not too loose. So now I've got some lines marked on here, and I've got my center marked out. I just used my little combination set here that I got from Matt, thank you. And I'm going to center punch this, and then I'm going to drill through either side, and then I'm going to tap through either side. So I'm going to start on this end, and I'm going to go all the way to the bottom of the hole here, and then I'm going to go through the other end with my drill all the way to the bottom of the hole again. And the reason how come I want to do it that way is so that my drill doesn't end up wandering, so that my holes stay centered from end to end. And then I'll do the same thing with my taps. I'm going to tap from either end. So right now I'm gonna center punch this, and then I'm gonna go set up my drill press, and I'm gonna get ready to drill and tap some holes. I'll flip that over and do the next side. This is my piece so far. I've got my center hole that I've drilled out, and then I've got my holes that I've drilled and tapped. Now I've got these two little bolts here that are the same size for my tap holes, and I've also ground these down just to a slight point, if you can see that. Just a slight point there. So that's my new cable, and this is my old cable here, and I just put these end to end, and I measured with my end here that I've taken out just so I know the length that I want my new cable to be, and I've actually cut my new cable to be just a little bit longer, and that's just to give me a little bit extra to work with. I'll end up cutting off some of that by the time I'm done all this, but that's what it's looking like right now. I'm just gonna shove it through my casing here, and then once it's through, we're gonna clean the very end of the cable. I'm just gonna clean the end of this to make sure there's no dirt or oil or anything on it, because we're still gonna be doing some work with that end. Okay, so now with my new cable in the casing, I've got my old cable sitting here beside it just as reference for the length, and I've got my ends matched up here. So I'm just gonna wrap a piece of electrical tape around the ends of these just to keep them together and to keep them from moving around too much. Now I'm gonna go to the other end here. And so now I've got my piece with the two screws in it, and I'm about ready to put this on, and I'm gonna go just a little tiny bit longer than the old cable just to make up for whatever amount of cable I ended up cutting off of the other end. And I'm gonna do these up. Okay, and so the reason I've cleaned this all with brake cleaner is because I'm actually going to Loctite everything together now from this point. And I did just make a little tiny mark on the cable there with my Sharpie just so that I can Loctite everything and then double check my position before I do everything up super tight. So I'm using green Loctite for this. This is what you'd use for like bearings and stuff like that. So this is going to be the best for this. Wind these screws out one at a time. I'm going to fill this right up with Loctite. Get a good little puddle going in there. It's okay if it's pouring out. And I'll go to the other end, fill this up with Loctite. Don't be shy. We'll check that my ends haven't moved. And I want to make this tight. And having the points on the ends of the bolts is just going to help to squish and compress the cable. Okay, now that's all good and tight. I'm just going to wipe up the extra Loctite. That's how it's looking right now. So I'm going to let this dry overnight. It takes 24 hours for this green Loctite to be fully set. So I'll come back to this tomorrow and I'll finish it up then. So see you soon. Okay, so it's the next day, and now that my Loctite's all set up, I can start cleaning up my cable end. I got to cut off my bolts and the little bit of extra cable here, so I've just got it set up in my vise. But I do want to make sure that while I'm cutting with my die grinder, I don't end up getting anything too hot here because I don't want it affecting the integrity of my Loctite at all. Safety first, I guess. Don't want to get any of those little pieces of cable in my eyeball though. Now I want to go clean it up with the belt sander. I've got a super fine sanding belt on here because I don't want my brass to end up all scratched up looking. Alright, so that's the cable end all cleaned up, and I'm just going to put it on the bike. The last one of these my dad made outlived the cable. Okay, so there it is on the bike, and there it is working. That is a hard clutch to pull. See, it's actually disengaging the clutch, if you can even notice that tiny bit of movement there. You always want to have a little bit of free play in your clutch cable too, for anybody who doesn't know, because you don't want to always be having your throwout bearing riding up against the clutch release finger. So that's it for this one, guys. Hopefully you guys found it useful or at least interesting. And if you guys like what you see, or if you just like me, or even if you don't like me but you like my bike, then like, comment, subscribe to all those things you guys do. And like always, I will catch y'all on the flip side. Peace. Stupid GoPro cameras. Screwed up. Are you all the way through? Hello? Look-see doodle. This freaking drill bit. Look-see doodle. Just have a little look-see. All the way back over there. This takes forever. Don't be dumb about it, Angel. Look. How do you keep doing that? I hope. Really don't know what I'm doing here, but hopefully I don't have to do it twice or 3 times or 10 times. Well, 8 hole for now. Just cheap drill bits just don't do the best job. Well. Gonna undo this drilly bit. Tap-a-lap-a-lappin', tap-a-lap-a-lappin', lap. Sweet donut tighter in there, I guess. Get off of there. Dang it. Man, holy, that was tight. Creating an optical illusion. Don't break your thumb in half, Angel. It's all again, tap this good and good. Angel, you are mentally ill. That should be good. Oh my gosh, okay. Dang it, get in there. Come on, go down. But tomorrow, it'll be me. Or for me, it'll be tomorrow. But, man, these safety glasses make me look like a nerd. Such a nerd. Nope. Okay, time to hacksaw the heck out of this. What the heck? Get the heck out of the way, you stupid thing. I can hate the way that I talk sometimes.